Deuce close. Mastering Madden.
The best play in Madden 19. We'll get right into it. The formation is pistol bunch tight end and the play is verticals. The only one downside with this play is that it's really only in 3 playbooks, Saints, Cardinals, and pistol. But I think after watching this video, you'll see how fantastic this play is. I think it's worth switching over for. So we're gonna go into verticals, and of course we're gonna show you against all the different coverages and all the different adjustments that you would expect to see. So we'll just come out and cover 3 sky, and really the only thing that you need to know is to align the bunch side to the field. So if you're on the right hash mark, you'll align the bunch to the left. Now we're gonna have multiple different ways that we can run this to really keep our opponent on their toes, but the base thing that I would always really look for when starting the game, other than the lineman of course, is just to put your number 2 wide receiver, Randy Moss, here on a fade. So we have potential, depending on how the coverage works out, for 1 play touchdown really out of any of these 3 routes. And we can max protect over here with our running back and our tight end if we see heavy blitzers, or we can work in the tight end on the passing concepts as well. But the reason why we fade number 2 here is that against cover 3, this is going to be a 1 play touchdown. So just wait for a little bit, pass lead outside, rack catch that. Worst case, the free safety is able to catch up to you right there. And then you'll only get 50 or 60 yards or so. But if you throw it just right, you'll get that 1 play touchdown. So that's huge in my opinion. This is gonna work for you as a 1 play touchdown against cover 3. Really against most adjustments. So shading won't work, protect the sticks won't work, putting an outside quarter over there won't work. Of course, usering will work, but no user wants to defend that. The only one thing that they'll be able to do is to put that strong side cornerback there on a deep half there. Okay, so that will, without having to show you guys, because this will be a longer video, I want to kind of cut down on the unnecessary, that will cover this fade route. But that's just going to open up a few other things for us. And first of all, not a lot of people are going to know to do that. They might switch into a different coverage where we have a lot of great options as well. So that fade is really going to be a backbreaker for us. So now once they put that deep half over there, and say they're running cloud flats here. Okay. Now, our fade's going to be taken care of. As we can see, you can really see the deep half covering that, but that wheel route is going to get open above that cloud flat. And even here, if we can actually make a catch, we have 1 play touchdown potential. So let's just show that again. Just have to wait a few seconds for that wheel to clear the cloud flat. Outside pass lead, rack catch. Maybe you can make that guy miss. It's really just one guy you have to make miss there. That's not the easiest thing, but either you get 20, 30 yards or so, or you get that 1 play touchdown there. So right away, cover 3 is at a huge disadvantage against this. Now, you might be thinking, well, what if they leave the curl flat there and have the deep half here? So if you watched the last video I put out, the curl flat against 3x1 formations, like this one, is going to match man-to-man to the first outside breaking route. So in this case, it is that wheel route from Jerry Rice there. But what we can do, again, if you watch that last video of mine, is we can put a route that's coming in underneath that where no zone is going to be able to cover that. So the curl flat is going to go with the wheel, and then we have the slant for days here. Okay, it's progressively getting a little bit shorter. We go from the fade to the 1 play touchdown, but once that's adjusted for, we have the wheel for potential 1 play touchdown or a huge yard gain. But once that's adjusted for, if your opponent even knows how to do that, then you're kind of forced to check it down to the slant. But as you saw there, even the slant was 20 yards or so. So then you might wonder, if we have this route combination, well, what if our user over here runs with that slant? So we'll just go ahead and simulate that. Well, you have this deep crosser from Terrell Owens here. In this case, one very important thing you need to note is that once your opponent starts putting a deep half over there, do not fade this wide receiver anymore. Because what this wide receiver does and you'll see it once I run this play, is that the weak side cornerback actually kind of keys on him, and it gives you space underneath for that crossing route. So unlike trips tight end, where you need a fade from the tight end to clear out that deep third, you don't need him in this formation. That's why it's really, really good. He, for whatever reason, keys on the number 2 here on this kind of seam route. So we'll show you how that kind of works out. Just like that, and that's a huge gain as well. So already, just with the base alignments and base adjustments, base hot routes, we have so many great things that we can work here that really is going to force them out of their comfort zone. They can't just come out and run cover 3 with the cloud flats, or as you'll see in a bit, you can't run cover 4 or 2 or really anything. And then, not to mention, you have this great opportunity to max protect if need be. But let me just go into the instant replay here. So we obviously can't throw this guy, though. Maybe if you're crazy, you could try to squeeze it in here. The wheel is taken by the curl flat. The slant is kind of, it would be open, but in this case, we're assuming the user is going to run with it. But now we got nobody covering the crosser. Now, if you are really understanding this game, you know that cover 3 against 3-by-1 formation, the weak hook curl is going to match any crossers coming. But, you have a wide receiver against a linebacker, maybe a safety coming down there. Your wide receiver is always going to burn him. B, that defender might be a user defender who might not know his responsibility. He might be the one going for the slant, in which case you'll be wide open here. Or what you see in a lot of cases, people are running protect the sticks, they're shading. Once they shade, that weak hook will not carry that crosser anymore. So we'll run it again, and now we have that much more room for this crosser here. And again, just one guy to beat, and you can get that one-play touchdown. So notes on, before we go into cover 4 and the other things, some notes on quarters and halves. Like I said over here, if they use a outside quarter, that fade will be still good for the one-play touchdown. I don't need to show that. We showed you, I made the note on the deep half will cover that one-play touchdown, but underneath we still have a lot of things. Over here, if they use a deep half, they're still going to be really even worse off against that deep crosser. The one thing I should note, though, is if they use an outside quarter here, it is much better against that crossing route. I would almost advise against that crossing route, because he's not going to key on that seam route. He's going to kind of sit, and though you can kind of squeeze it in, it's really tough. So in that case, if you're coming up against somebody that really knows what they're doing, which I doubt, because nobody's really running this formation, in that case, you would have to use the tight end to clear him out if you really want to throw this crosser. But we don't have to. We have a lot of other things we can do. And we'll get back to cover 3 with the other adjustments, but in the base adjustments, base alignments, I want to finish off cover 4, cover 2. Cover 4 against bunch formations like this one, cover 4 quarters and cover 4 palms are the same thing. They check into something called cover 4 box. And I won't really go over that here. The one thing I want to note is that cover 4 box has a lot of issues with exchanging routes. So route combinations like this are notoriously, maybe not notoriously, are devastating against the current state of cover 4 box. Maybe by the time you're watching this, a few weeks or months down the road, maybe it's been worked, it's been patched, but as of right now, this is a one-play touchdown as well. So at the same adjustment, you just wait for the safety to bite, and you have Randy Moss there for an easy one-play touchdown. So not much you need to really do there. Really, if they're running cover 3 and then all of a sudden they throw cover 4 at you, there's no adjustment you need to make. That fade there is there for the one-play touchdown. Let's go to cover 2. Cover 2. Same setup. You have the fade for number 2, you have the wheel here and the crosser. Obviously that fade is going to be covered pretty well by that free safety there. But if we wait for that wheel to clear the cloud flat, just like the cover 3 version, we have a huge gain right there. Now, depending on how you throw this, there is opportunity for a one-play touchdown here as well. But really, it is up to, you know, how much strength you have, the placement of your ball, and then if you could turn that upfield, you know, there, I don't think I was good on the stick, but I think I could have turned that upfield for a touchdown. Worst case, you know, most cases you'll just get the 30, 40 yards. Sometimes you can get that touchdown. Anyway, that's there. The crosser, if the crosser is not accounted for by the user, you're going to have, or sorry, they're going to have really big issues here. It's a huge gaping hole here for that crosser. There you go, one play touchdown. Before I finish off with cover 2, I want to make a note on max protection. So, you see a lot of this at cover 2, you're blitzing 5 or 6, and then you have one guy in the middle here. You know, the user, defender's kind of trying to cover everything. Well, so now, if they're running cover 2 with max protection, well, you can block 7. Okay, so they're sending 6, we're blocking 7. So we have the numbers advantage there. We still have this wheel. If we have a little bit of time in the pocket, we can throw that wheel just like I showed you. And then your opponent really has to choose. Are they going to cover the crosser, which they have to? If they don't, that crosser's there. Or if they go ahead with the crosser, well, your seam down the middle with Randy Moss is going to be open for a one-play touchdown as well. So it's really pick their poison. You know, you got the max protection here, and then 3 really, really great routes that you can throw. Not to mention, you know, you can do other things like, you know, if you don't want to be so aggressive, you can put number 2 on a hitch here, maybe playmaker him or whatever if that crosser isn't there or that wheel isn't there. But, you know, most cases they will be. So that is cover 2. Let's go ahead and just reset this. Okay, so here's where we have a little bit more fun with it, and we get a little bit deeper with it and make some adjustments to keep our opponent on their toes, or on their heels, I guess. So simply, you know, that was our base setup. But simply by motioning out this wide receiver, things get quite a bit, you know, familiar for us, but also quite a bit different. Okay, so this is going to be one of the different checks that we can go into where we're motioning the number 3 wide receiver out. There's another one that we'll get into after where we're motioning the number 1 wide receiver out. And then there's another one after that where we're motioning the tight end out. And to kind of keep it simple for us, we can even give those names. So in this case, we could call this wide 3, say, where we motion the number 1, we can call that wide 1. And where we motion the tight end, we can call that wide T. You can call it whatever you want, but I think those names kind of help out a little bit just to keep it organized in your head. So this is where the last video starts to come into play, where we have a slot wheel that really causes a lot of havoc for some of these zone coverages. So you still have, in this case, the one-play touchdown. If you fade, in this case, the number 3 wide receiver, Randy Moss here, you're still going to have that one-play touchdown for you. Okay? On top of that, you are still going to have the ability to throw this slant underneath, because this wheel route will clear out any flat zones on that side of the field, unless it's a hard flat, but we'll get into that. So we'll see here, against just a curl flat, we know against 3x1, the curl flat is going to match man-to-man against the first outside breaking route. So he's going to match that wheel, and then we're going to have the tight end underneath for easy 20 yards or so. Assuming, you know, the user doesn't go with it, but usually the user doesn't carry that all the way to the sideline anyway. So that'll be there, but in this case, what's a little bit different than the base setup is that because, you know, going back to the last video I made, say if your opponent is running cloud flats now, rather than curl flats, well, this is going to go to that rule where that cloud flat will match man-to-man on the second vertical route through their zone. So this deep cross, even though it's going all the way to the other side of the field, is considered a vertical route through the cloud flat. So the second vertical route is that wheel route. So that wheel route is going to carry the cloud out of the way. And in this case, we don't even care if they're running curl flats or cloud flats. We're going to be open underneath with the tight end again for easy 20, 30 yards or so. Sorry, 30 yards is ambitious, 15 to 20 yards or so. The only case that might change is if they're, say, running hard flats here. So the hard flat is going to stay down, but this is something you'll kind of want to watch out for. So if he stays down, you're going to have this wheel here for the quick throw. You know, I threw it a little bit early there, so it's a little bit tight. But if you get that timing right, that wheel will be there for you. And that's a quick throw, quick 10, 15 yards or so. Again, with potential to take that upfield because you're catching that in stride. So that's just something to kind of watch out for. That slant isn't always going to be there because, you know, out of nowhere, sometimes you might see a hard flat there. But we got answers for everything. Okay, other things we can do. We can convert the wide 3, which is a 1 now, to a comeback route. So we know from the last video that comeback will get open against curl flats and cloud flats. Just like that. So again, you know, this is just another wrinkle that we can add to it. And it's away from the user. The user's not going to ever go think to cover that himself. Again, if it's a hard flat, you got that wheel route open there, that wheel kind of fade. It's kind of a wheel fade where he's kind of turning upfield, but also kind of towards the sideline, which is nice. So you have that. You also have the option to put that wide 3 or that 1 on a simple out route. And that simple out route, you know, no matter if this flat is a curl flat or cloud flat, you're going to have this wheel wide open over here. Okay, last thing I want to go over in the wide 3 against cover 3 is the one-play touchdown potential, not just from Randy Moss here on the fade, but also one-play touchdown potential from the crosser here, from the motion wide receiver. What we're going to need to do is just put our tight end on a little flat or out route, and that's going to hold, you know, unintuitively speaking, it's going to hold that weak side cornerback just enough for him not to recognize the deep crosser, and we can just lob that over the top for one-play touchdown. Now this is assuming you have a little bit of time in the pocket, so I'm going to put contains on there. So obviously it's not something you can run a lot, but if you're confident in your protection, this is something that you can run out there. So just wait for him to clear and then throw that hopefully a little bit of a better pass lead. So you can really lob this, you can touch pass or bullet throw. You can do a lot of different things. Still don't know what really the best one is for me, but assuming we have some time in the pocket, yeah, bullet throw is okay there. And we got on the 1 yard line there. So, is it the best option? I don't know, but it's definitely there for you. Okay, it's not going to work against deep halves, obviously. Let me go motion this guy out. We'll put the deep half out there. But what's actually really nice is that that's going to open up a lot of room underneath. So, though we don't have the one-play touchdown, we have huge yard potential. Just like that. I believe the one-play touchdown works against an outside quarter, but I'm not going to really go over that there. So against cover 2, same thing over here. Again, this cloud flat from the cornerback is going to match the wheel, except in this case. So if it's a stock cover 2 where that cornerback is aligned 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, he actually gets glitched out and just doesn't do anything, and that wheel route is wide open. So look for that if you're coming up against somebody that's running cover 2 that's 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. A lot of the better players probably won't do that. Usually they'll be baseline or pressed, but that's going to be there for you. Otherwise, if they are pressed, this wheel route surprisingly doesn't do a really good job at getting open. But we do have other things. We're going to have the slant underneath because the wheel route's going to clear the cloud flat. And let me just press so we don't get that glitch behavior. Again, same thing as before. If our user takes the slant, well then we're going to have this crosser route way over here. Lots and lots of options. So note I want to make against cover 4. So once you do this motioning out, cover 4 quarters and cover 4 palms no longer check into cover 4 bunch, or sorry, cover 4 box. So now they're going to work as they would. You know, cover 4 is going to play solo, cover 4 quarters is going to play solo, cover 4 palms is going to play special. They're going to play like they normally do. So if we do this thing, the safety actually does a pretty good job at... Oh yeah, quarter still has this bug. So actually, I believe... Yeah, so wide 3 with the number 3, the new number 3 faded is going to be still going to be a one-play touchdown against cover 4 quarters and palms. I forgot that quarters still had this weird bug. Well, unless the safety kind of gets out there. Either way, I wouldn't be too confident in that against cover 4. But the other things will still apply against cover 4. Namely with this crosser. Okay, so these quarter zones will not be able to run with it. And then, of course, the slant route right here. So I'm not really going to go there too much because really the cover 4 is still kind of rare in comparison with cover 2 and cover 3. So that's wide 3, wide 1, where we're motioning out to 1 wide receiver. This is going to be really familiar to you guys. It's going to be very similar to the gun bunch verticals. So if they're running curl flats, this wheel is going to be a nice quick throw for you, just like that. And you should be able to get bare minimum 10 yards every single time. So you have that. You still have the fade, one-play touchdown over here. Okay, so you have, essentially you could be like, okay, well, if they're running cloud flats here, that cloud's going to shoot out and it's going to be hard to throw that wheel. But, you know, we still have this touchdown right here. That's assuming they don't know to convert to halves there yet. But if they're doing cloud flats and a deep half over there, so the deep half is going to take the one-play touchdown, and the cloud is going to shoot out there to take away the quick throw. Well, you can just be a little bit patient. I wasn't patient there. Let me show that again. Okay, so yeah, if we have the deep half here, the clouds, the one-play fade is going to be covered, the quick throw is going to be covered, but we just need to wait a little bit for that wheel to clear that cloud flat. And if you throw it right, if you're not, I would kind of advise against an outside pass lead there. Actually no pass lead would probably be best, or inside pass lead. You'll have 20 or 30 yards there. So yeah, you'll have that, and then you'll still have this combination over here. But keep in mind that the cloud flat will not run with the wheel route here on the left here, because that's not the second vertical through their zone. Just as we showed you before, that cloud flat is not going to run with it. So this slant coming across isn't going to be good there. So what I would do in this case, I'd actually just fade the tight end here, or keep him at the block if you want. And then in that case, you have a situation where you're looking for a one-play touchdown on Randy Moss here. If that's not there, you throw that wheel, either quick throw or you wait. And then if that's not there, you also have the crosser. But, keep in mind that that's something that your opponent could very well use her. Okay, so that's wide 1 versus cover 3 versus cover 2. This wheel route doesn't do a very good job at getting open. But what it does do is it splits that safety much better, and you have much more room down the seam with the triangle route. Now that's really assuming that they don't put the deep third in the middle there, but I think a lot of people are being a lot more aggressive with cover 2 nowadays, mainly with the blitzing, or they'll use that themselves. That's something that could definitely be open for you. And then, of course, the crosser, I've showed that a few times. The crosser gets open there. The seamer, it has the potential there. The wheel, in this case, doesn't do a good job. And then you can really just max protect, or you can do something kind of ad lib with the tight end here. The last one thing that I want to go over here before we wrap up is back to cover 3, the wide T adjustment. So we can, again, we'll have one play touchdown over here, potential from the fade. We have a wheel that's going to drive back the curl flat. And then now we have the slant coming in from deeper. And so we have, it's a way to get an extra 5 yards or so from the tight end. But really, the one thing that I really like to do is I put this tight end on something, say, like a curl route or a comeback route or a deep out route. And cover 3, like I've said a few times, against 3-by-1, it does this weird kind of pseudo match, where in this case, the weak side corner is going to match to the tight end here. So the weak hook will carry that crossing route, but he's usually going to be outmatched, and you can just lob that forward. So really, in this adjustment here against cover 3, you're really going to be kind of one-on-one with the weak linebacker there. So in this case, like I just showed there, you're going to lob that forward and beat him because you got the matchup potential there. Or like a lot of people are doing, if they're running hard flats or cloud flats with their shading, this deep crosser will be totally by himself, just like that. So that wraps it up. That's in my opinion, the best play in Madden 19. There's a lot of potential there. There's still a lot of potential here. I kind of blew through the last little bit because I know it's a lot to take in, but I would suggest start running the base alignments, base adjustments, and then as you start to get a little bit more comfortable with it, start to work in some of this motion, some of these other route combinations up. And I think really just with this one play, combined with, I think there's a few good run plays in this formation, I think you can be really, really good on offense. Okay, I would really love to know, first of all, if you made it this far, how this is going to go for you. Are you going to be successful? How have you been running it? Because I'm really curious. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.